Hi, good evening. It is day 44, and we're reading Genesis chapters 43 through 46 tonight. So it's going to be a little bit of a longer reading, so we're just going to kind of dive right into it. But I do want to say, after I record these videos, I do watch them, and then I pick up the mistakes that I've made. So I apologize for some of the mistakes I made yesterday. I think I called chapter 42, chapter 43, and actually now we're starting in chapter 43. So, little things like that I catch, and I know that you guys understand. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and jump right into Genesis 43. Remember, we're in the middle of the story of Joseph and how his brothers have not recognized him yet when they've come to Egypt because of the famine. And Joseph is now second in command under Pharaoh, and he's organizing the whole entire country, or basically almost like the whole known world, because of the famine, and making sure that the people are being fed, because he was wise in instituting a system by which during the 7 years of prosperity, they put food aside so that when the 7 years of famine came, that people would be able to survive. So okay, again, remember that they were calling the famine severe, and they mentioned that several times, and they're going to mention it again here in the beginning of Genesis chapter 43. Now the famine was severe in the land, and it came to pass when they had eaten up the grain which they had brought from Egypt. So now he's talking about the brothers. Joseph had given his brothers, who again did not recognize Joseph yet, he gave them food to take back to Egypt. And he said, bring me Benjamin, the youngest brother. So they had brought, eaten up the grain, which they had brought back from Egypt, that their father said to them, go back and buy us a little food. But Judah spoke to him, saying, the man, they were referring to Joseph, solemnly warned us, saying, you shall not see my face unless your brother is with you. So again, referring to Benjamin. If you send your brother with us, we will go down and buy you food. If you send our brother with us, we will go down and buy you food. But if you will not send him, we will not go down. For the man said to us, you shall not see my face unless your brother is with you. And Israel said, remember, Israel is Jacob, why did you deal so wrongfully with me as to tell the man whether you still had another brother? But they said, the man asked us pointedly about ourselves and our family, saying, is your father still alive? Have you another brother? And we told him according to these words. Could we possibly have known what he would say, bring your brother down? Then Judah said to Israel, his father, send the lad with me, and we will arise and go, that we may live and not die, both we and you, and also our little ones. I myself will be surety for him. From my hand you shall require him. If I do not bring him back to you and set him before you, let me bear the blame forever. For if we had not lingered, surely by now we would have returned the second time. So again, they waited a long time before even attempting to go back to Egypt. And he's saying if we had gone right away, we could have had this, this issue resolved by now. And their father Israel said to them, if it must be so, then do this. Take some of the best fruits of the land in your vessels and carry down a present for the man, a little balm and a little honey, spices and myrrh, pistachio nuts and almonds. Yum. Take double money in your hand and take back in your hand the money that was returned in the mouth of your sacks. Perhaps it was an oversight. So they went to buy food, and all the money was returned back to them from their last trip, their first trip. Take your brother also, and arise, go back to the man. And may God Almighty give you mercy before the man, that he may release your other brother and Benjamin. If I am bereaved, I am bereaved. So the men took that present and Benjamin, and took double the money in their hand, and arose and went down to Egypt, and they stood before Joseph. When Joseph saw Benjamin with them, he said to the steward of the house, take these men to my home, and slaughter an animal and make ready, for these men will dine with me at noon. Then the men did as Joseph ordered, and the man brought the men into Joseph's house. Now the men were afraid because they were brought into Joseph's house, and they said, it is because of the money which was returned in our sacks the first time that we were brought in, so that he may make a case against us and seize us and take us as slaves with our donkeys. When they drew near to the steward of Joseph's house, they talked with him at the door of the house and said, "O sir, we indeed came down the first time to buy food. But it happened when we came to the encampment that we opened our sacks, and there each man's money was in the mouth of his sack, our money in full weight. So we have brought it back in our hand. And we have brought down other money in our hands too to buy food. We do not know who put the money in our sacks." But he said, "Peace be with you. Do not be afraid. Your God and the God of your father has given you treasure in your sacks. I had your money." And he brought Simeon out to them. So the man brought the men into Joseph's house and gave them water, and they washed their feet, and he gave their donkeys feed. Then they made the present ready for Joseph's coming at noon, for they heard that he would eat bread there. And when Joseph came home, they brought him the present which was in their hand into the house and bowed down before him to the earth. Remember, just like his dream said they would. Then he asked them about their well-being and said, "Is your father well, the old man of who you spoke? Is he still alive?" And they answered, "Your servant, our father, is in good health. He is still alive." And they bowed their heads down and prostrated themselves. Then he lifted his eyes and saw his brother Benjamin, his mother's son, and said, "Is this your younger brother of whom you spoke to me?" And he said, "God be gracious to you, my son." Now his heart yearned for his brother, so Joseph made haste and sought somewhere to weep. And remember, this is the second time now he's weeping after seeing his brothers. He just loves them so much, and he's going to reveal himself here soon. And he went into his chamber, and he wept there. Then he washed his face and came out. After you've been crying, you don't want anybody to know that you've been crying. So what do? You wash your face, right? He washed his face and he came out and he restrained himself and he said, "Serve the bread." So they set him a place by himself and them by themselves, and the Egyptians who ate with them by themselves, because the Egyptians could not eat food with the Hebrews, for this is an abomination to the Egyptians. And they sat there before him, the firstborn according to his birthright, and the youngest according to his youth. And the men looked in astonishment at one another. Then he took servings to them from before him. But Benjamin's serving was 5 times as much as any of the others. So they drank and were merry with him. Chapter 44. And he commanded the steward of the house, saying, "Fill the men's sacks with food, as much as they can carry, and put each man's money in the mouth of his sack. Also put my cup, the silver cup, in the mouth of the sack of the youngest, and his grain money." So he did according to the word that Joseph had spoken. So remember, he's taking Joseph's silver cup and hiding it in Benjamin's sack. As soon as the morning dawned, the men were sent away, they and their donkeys. When they had gone off out of the city, and they were not yet far off, Joseph said to his steward, "Get up, follow the men, and when you overtake them, say to them, 'Why have you repaid evil for good? Is not this the one from which my Lord drinks, and with which he indeed practices divination? You have done evil in so doing.'" So he overtook them, and he spoke to them these same words. And they said to him, "Why does the Lord say these words? Far be it from us that your servants should do such a thing. Look, we brought back to you from the land of Canaan the money which we found in the mouth of our sacks. How then could we steal silver or gold from your Lord's house? With whomever of your servants it is found, let him die, and we will also be my Lord's slaves." And he said, "Now also let it be according to your words. He with whom it is found shall be my slave, and you shall be blameless." So he's not going to put them all to death. He's just going to take whoever is found, the cup is found. He's just going to have that person be the slave. And of course, it's a big setup, of course. Then each man speedily let down his sack to the ground, and each opened his sack. So he searched. He began with the oldest and left off with the youngest, and the cup was found in Benjamin's sack. Then they tore their clothes, and each man loaded his donkey and returned to the city. So Judah and his brothers came to Joseph's house, and he was still there, and they fell before him on the ground. And Joseph said to them, "What deed is this that you have done? Did you not know that such a man as I can certainly practice divination?" Then Judah said, "What shall we say, my lord? What shall we speak? Or how shall we clear ourselves? God has found out the iniquity of your servants. Here we are, my lord's slaves, both we and he also, with whom the cup was found." But he said, "Far be it from me that I should do so. The man in whose hand the cup was found, he shall be my slave. As for you, go in peace to your father." Then Judah came near him and said, "O my lord, please let your servant speak a word in my lord's hearing, and do not let your anger burn against your servant, for you are even like Pharaoh." So he's recognizing the power that Joseph has. "My lord asked his servants, saying, 'Have you a father or a brother?' And we said to my lord, 'We have a father, an old man, and a child of his old age, who is young. His brother is dead, and he alone is left of his mother's children, and his father loves him.' Then you said to your servants, 'Bring him down to me, that I may set my eyes on him.' And we said to my lord, 'The lad cannot leave his father, for if he shall leave his father would die.' But you said to your servants, 'Unless your youngest brother comes down to you, you shall see my face no more.' So it was, we went up to your servant, my father, and we told him the words of my lord. And our father said, 'Go back and buy us a little food.' But we said, 'We cannot go down if our youngest brother is, we cannot go down. If our youngest brother is with us, then we will go down, for we may not see the man's face unless our youngest brother is with us.'" So he's recounting the whole story. "Then your servant, my father, said to us, you know that my wife bore me 2 sons, and the one went out from me, and I said, 'Surely he is torn to pieces, and I have not seen him since. But if you take this one also from me, and calamity befalls him, you shall bring down my gray hair with sorrow to the grave. Now therefore, when I come to your servant, my father, and the lad is not with us, since his life is bound up in the lad's life, it will happen when he sees that the lad is not with us, that he will die. So your servants will bring down the gray hair of your servant, our father, with sorrow to the grave. For your servant became surety for the lad to my father, saying, if I do not bring him back to you, then I shall bear the blame before my father forever. Now therefore, please let your servant remain instead of the lad as a slave to my lord, and let the lad go up with his brothers." So he's saying, I'll be your slave, but let Benjamin go. "For how shall I go up to my father if the lad is not with me, lest perhaps I see the evil that would have come upon my father," or that would come upon my father. Chapter 45. Then Joseph could not restrain himself before all those who stood by him, and he cried out, "Make everyone go out of the room. Make everyone go out from me." So no one stood with him while Joseph made himself known to his brothers. So he told all the servants and everyone to get out of the room, and he was there alone with his brothers, and he says he made himself known to them. And he wept aloud, and the Egyptians and the house of Pharaoh heard it. So he must have really wailed. And Joseph said to his brothers, "I am Joseph. Does my father still live?" But his brothers could not answer him, for they were dismayed in his presence. And Joseph said to his brothers, "Please come near to me." So they came near. Then he said, "I am Joseph, your brother, whom you sold into Egypt. But now do not therefore be grieved or angry with yourselves because you sold me here, for God sent me before you to preserve life." Isn't that amazing how after all that Joseph had been through, he is so loving and forgiving to his brothers, and as a matter of fact, has seen the bigger plan of God's life, and not only saving his brothers' lives, but the lives of all the people in the country. "For these 2 years the famine has been in the land, and there are still 5 years in which there will be neither plowing nor harvesting. And God sent me before you to preserve a posterity for you in the earth, and to save your lives by a great deliverance." Again, so he's seeing God's will for this whole thing to have happened. So now it was not you who sent me here, but God. And he has made me a father to Pharaoh and lord of all his house and a ruler throughout all the land of Egypt. Hurry up and go to my father and say to him, thus says your son Joseph, God has made me lord of all Egypt. Come down to me, do not tarry. You shall dwell in the land of Goshen, and you shall be near to me, you and your children, your children's children, your flocks and your herds, and all that you have. There I will provide for you, lest you and your household and all that you have come to poverty, for there are still 5 years of famine. And so behold, your eyes and the eyes of my brother Benjamin see that it is my mouth that speaks to you. So you shall tell my father of all my glory in Egypt, and of all that you have seen, and you shall hurry and bring my father down here. And he fell on his brother Benjamin's neck and wept, and Benjamin wept on his neck. Moreover, he kissed all his brothers and wept over them. And after that, his brothers talked with him. Now the report of it was heard in Pharaoh's house, saying, Joseph's brothers have come. So it pleased Pharaoh and his servants well. And Pharaoh said to Joseph, say to your brothers, do this, load your animals and depart. Go into the land of Canaan. Bring your father and your households and come to me, and I will give you the best of the land of Egypt, and you will eat the fat of the land. Now you are commanded, do this, take carts out of the land of Egypt for your little ones and your wives. Bring your father and come. Also do not be concerned about your goods, for the best of all the land of Egypt is yours. Then the sons of Israel did so, and Joseph gave them carts according to the command of Pharaoh, and he gave them provisions for the journey. He gave to all of them, to each man, changes of garments, but to Benjamin he gave 300 pieces of silver and 5 changes of garments. So he said to his father, and he sent to his father these things: 10 donkeys loaded with the goods of Egypt, 10 female donkeys loaded with bread, and food for his father for the journey. So he sent his brothers away, and they departed. And he said to them, see that you do not become troubled along the way. Then they went up to Egypt and came to the land of Canaan, to Jacob their father. And they told him, saying, Joseph is still alive, and he is governor over all the land of Egypt. Can you imagine what he thought about that? And Jacob's heart stood still because he did not believe them. It would be hard to believe if you thought he was dead all these years. But when they told him all the words which Joseph had said to them, and when he saw the carts which Joseph had sent to carry him, the spirit of Jacob their father revived. Then Israel said, it is enough. Joseph my son is still alive, and I will go and see him before I die. Chapter 46. Right, we're reading through chapter 46, sorry. Yep, okay. So Israel took his journey with all that he had and came to Beersheba and offered sacrifices to the God of his father Isaac. Then God spoke to Israel in the visions of the night and said, Jacob, Jacob. And he said, here I am. And he said, I am God, the God of your father. Do not fear to go down to Egypt, for I will make you a great nation there. I will go down with you to Egypt. I will surely bring you up again, and Joseph will put his hand on your eyes. Then Jacob arose from Beersheba, and the sons of Israel carried their father Jacob, their little ones and their wives, in the carts which Pharaoh had sent to carry him. And so they took their livestock and their goods, which they had acquired in the land of Canaan, and went to Egypt, Jacob and all his descendants with him. His sons and his sons' sons, and his daughters and his sons' daughters, and all the descendants he brought with him to Egypt. Now these were the names of the children of Israel, Jacob and his sons, who went to Egypt. Reuben was Jacob's firstborn, and the sons of Reuben were Hanok. He had 4 sons. And one of them was, and the sons of Simeon. Simeon had 6 sons, and they were the son of a Canaanite woman. The sons of Levi were Gershon, Kohath, and Merari. The sons of Judah were Onan, Shelah, Perez, Zerah. But and Onan died in the land of Canaan. We had read about that before. The sons of Perez were Hezron and Hamul. The sons of Issachar were Tola, Puva, Job, and Shimron. The sons of Zebulun were Sered, Elon, and Jaleel. And these were the sons of Leah, whom she bore to Jacob in Padan Aram with his daughter Dinah. All the persons, his sons, and his daughters were 33. And the sons of Gad were Ziphion, Hagi, Shuni, Ezbon, Eri, Arodi, and Areli. And the sons of Asher were Jimnah, Ishua, Isui, Beriah, and Sirah, their sister. And the sons of Beriah were Heber and Malchiel. These were the sons of Zilpah, who Laban gave to Leah his daughter. Whom Laban gave to Leah his daughter, and these she bore to Jacob, 16 persons. So they're going by each wife, because there are 4 wives, and they're going by each wife, and the sons that he had, and then the children that they had. These were the sons, 16 persons. The sons of Rachel, Jacob's wife, were Joseph and Benjamin. And to Joseph in the land of Egypt were born Manasseh and Ephraim, whom Aseneth, the daughter of Potipharah, priest of On, bore to him. The sons of Benjamin were Bela, Becher, Ashbel, Gera, Naaman, Eha, Rosh, Mupin, Hupin, and Ard. And these were the sons of Rachel who were born to Jacob, 14 persons in all. The sons of Dan were Husham. The sons of Naphtali were Jaziel, Juni, Jezer, and Shilhem. So I'm just trying to get through these. These are the sons of Bilhah, whom Laban gave to Rachel, his daughter, and she bore these to Jacob, 7 persons in all. All the persons who went with Jacob to Egypt, who came from his body, besides Jacob's sons' wives, were 66 persons in all. What a family reunion. You know, right now when our family gets together, I think there's going to be 2 more grandbabies born this year. So I think we're going to be up to 24 just with my immediate children, my children and immediate grandchildren. So anyway, it's a great family reunion time. So, all right, 66 persons, so they beat me. And the sons of Joseph were born to him in Egypt were 2 persons. All the persons of the house of Jacob who went to Egypt were 70. Let's see. And he sent Judah before him to Joseph to point out before him the way to Goshen. And they came to the land of Goshen. So Joseph made ready his chariot and went up to Goshen to meet his father Israel. And he presented himself to him and fell on his neck and wept on his neck a good while. I bet he did. Wow, what a reunion that would be. And Israel said to Joseph, "Now let me die, since I have seen your face, because you are still alive." Then Joseph said to his brothers and to his father's household, "I will go up and tell Pharaoh and say to him, my brothers and those of my father's house who were in the land of Canaan have come to me. And the men are shepherds, for their occupation has been to feed livestock. And they have brought their flocks, their herds, and all they have. So it shall be, when Pharaoh calls on you and says, what is your occupation, that you will say, your servant's occupation has been with livestock from our youth, even till now, both we and also our fathers, that you may dwell in the land of Goshen, for every shepherd is an abomination to the Egyptians." So he's telling them how to speak to Pharaoh about what their occupation is. Anyway. Okay, that's the end of chapter 46. We'll read chapter 47 through 50. I think that might be the end of Genesis tomorrow. Yep, I think we're going to finish up Genesis tomorrow. So we'll see you then. Have a great night. Love you guys.